Truth is, I am Iron Man.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good.
What is going on? What are you doing?
To infinity and beyond!
This is the way.
The flux capacitor.
Is Star Wars the one with the little wizard boy?
Chewie, we're home.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Ah, chills. Literal chills.
Hello, fellow fans, to United We Fan, the podcast. I'm Mark, and united with me is my co-host, the impeccable Bryan. What up, Bryan?
Hey, everyone.
On the last episode, Bryan and I were joined by Ethan from the Wolf of Main Street podcast to discuss the hit show, The Office. On this week's episode, we'll be discussing our favorite theme park attractions, and that's right, we're going to pick only 5 out of this whole world. Only 5. But first, thank you all for uniting with us to talk about all things fandom. Please give us a rate and review wherever you listen so we can unite with more fans out there. UWF is partnered up with the This Diz Life podcast family. Lots of wonderful podcasts and live shows with them. One of those special shows, Bryan, I'm a big fan of. I'm so honored to be a weirdo. Tell them about the weirdos, Bryan.
Earth's Mightiest Weirdos, an MCU podcast talking all things MCU. It's been fun, like actually being between shows. We had The Falcon and Winter Soldier wrapped up a couple weeks ago. We still got a little bit of time before June 9th when Loki drops. So we're doing all kinds of things. This past week's conversation was all about the future of the MCU and kind of everything that's coming, getting you prepared on who's in it and who's directing it and what the storylines could be and just what we're most excited for. That was a really fun conversation. Upcoming episodes, we're going to have a bracket of scenes, like just the best scenes within the MCU broken down by phases. And we're also going to discuss villains, what makes a good MCU villain and why other comic book companies can't seem to replicate that on screen near as well. And we're going to pick our favorite MCU villains. That's going to be a fun conversation as well. So a lot of good things happening on Earth's Mightiest Weirdos, which is every Monday night at 8:30 on YouTube in This Diz Life Facebook group, on their Facebook page as well as on their YouTube channel. And it also is a podcast called Earth's Mightiest Weirdos.
I feel like there's one scene that I'm hoping doesn't make it far. I think it should have been a deleted scene from Endgame. And you know, I'm just gonna save that energy for when we have that scene episode.
But we picked only 16 scenes from the Avengers films, so there's no possible way that scene even qualifies. So I think you're okay.
I don't think Captain would say that.
That is America's ass.
Anyways, it is a fun show. Check it out. We at one point ranked all of our favorite characters, and man, things got heated a little bit there. We fanboyed hard over Falcon and Winter Soldier. We went over so many theories with WandaVision. That was a hoot. And, you know, we love that one because it is filmed live. So if you ever have a theory or if you have a question or anything, we love it when you comment with us so that we can answer. So we can all just brainstorm and throw it against the wall, see what sticks. And then, you know, with Loki coming up, it's going to be a lot of good chatter for that. So please join us live or, you know, like Bryan said, tune in afterwards. Either way, join us. Speaking of you fans, thank you, Sally. Sally is a good friend of ours and a very, very passionate listener, and we thank her for tuning in and sharing it with her husband as he listens on his commute. We don't care where you listen to it, just as long as that you listen and enjoy. That's what we care about. And thank you, Katie B, for being a regular listener and supporter. You are always wonderful with your compliments and always chiming in with comments during our broadcasts and whatnot. So we appreciate you. We appreciate all of you that listen, rate, and review here on UWF. Thank you, fans. In Mark and Bryan's world news, Invincible season 1 on Amazon just wrapped up. And Bryan, I don't think I was ready to fall in love with that show. Like right away it happened. And it ended on such a high note. I'm glad it was renewed for season 2 and 3, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So watch it. That show is animated. Don't let that stop you. It is unlike anything you've seen before. I would want to say if you like The Boys and Doom Patrol, you will like Invincible, but this show I think is I know this show is at a whole other upper level than those shows, but just to kind of give you the idea of the direction they were going.
Yeah, I'm excited to get in. I mean, they pulled a Star Wars animation trick of introducing a bunch of characters that had the show not continued, we would have gotten zero payoff for. But now that we know it's coming back for season 2 and 3, I'm very interested to see where they go from there. The show started to lose just a little steam for me, kind of near the episode 6, 7 area. But episode 7 really hooked me back in, especially the way that it ended, and then the season finale. It worked for me. I'm excited for that show to come back in the future, and I just hope they don't abuse that 2-episode drop and really don't do a lot with season 2. I hope they keep advancing the story.
Oh, I think they will. I think it's in good hands and it's a success. I hope they keep with the same formula. So you mentioned Star Wars. Bryan, I'm going to surprise you with this one because you kind of gave me a little like way to work it in there. Zack Snyder, one of your favorite directors of all time, is a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah, we all are.
Oh, wow. And he mentioned, he's mentioned a couple of times, he's a big Star Wars fan. He knows a lot about that universe, and he would absolutely join that. He's even got a couple of story ideas if he's allowed to tell them, but he is also rather cautious to enter that world just because of how protective those fans are. And after leaving the DC world, those fans are very tame, I think, compared to the Star Wars fans. So, Bryan, now, are you hoping, let's see here, A, we get a Zack Snyder Star Wars movie, B, he directs an episode of a Star Wars show on Disney Plus, C, writes a Star Wars book or graphic novel, or D, stays in his lane away from Star Wars?
I mean, if you give me C, I'll deal with it. If he writes a book or a comic book, like I'm sure. Go ahead. If he directs an episode of The Mandalorian, I can live with that. Do not give that guy a $250 million check to make a Star Wars movie. I don't need to see Star Wars in slow motion. I don't need to see Star Wars in black and white. I don't need Zack Snyder in the Star Wars universe. I'm not interested. Would I go see it? Of course I would. But it doesn't mean that I want to go see it. Give me Taika Waititi. Give me Kevin Feige. Give me even Patty Jenkins and what's been announced. But I do not want that toxic personality around the toxic fandom of Star Wars. It's not a good combination.
Well, all right then.
Speaking of Star Wars, there was also a big Star Wars announcement this week. Star Wars Celebration was supposed to be in August of 2022. As life gets back to normal, vaccinations are up, all that kind of stuff. Life finds a way, if you will. They moved Star Wars Celebration it was supposed to be like 2 weeks before D23. So my guess is that is why. So they're going to have more time to set up for D23 at the Anaheim Convention Center. Regardless, they have moved Star Wars Celebration from August to May 26th through the 29th, which is Memorial Day weekend of 2022. So now I've got to change all my life plans and try to make it out to Anaheim for Memorial Day instead of for August, which is going to mean that Avengers Campus is going to be even more busy at Disneyland. So I've got to figure all that out. But new news in the world of Star Wars Celebration, it is now May 26th through 29th of 2022.
Stranger Things Season 4 released a teaser trailer, and I will go ahead and say it. It didn't really show anything I was hoping to see, and it was, it's a teaser trailer. That's what it does. It teased you. I was gonna watch the show no matter what. It started off like a really cool 80s horror movie feel, and then it just kind of ended. So not like a I'm running out the door to go watch, but it was a teaser. It is what it is.
I'll take the weekend that it drops off to watch the entire season, like in one go. Like that's what I did with season 3. I'll do that for season 4 as well. I really, really like that show. I'm excited for it to come back, but I'm with you. I didn't even feel teased from that. I feel like it's a flashback. I mean, I suppose they want you to think it's modern day. It could very well be a flashback and who 11 used to be. I don't know. I mean, it's a teaser trailer. I just expected it to end with a date announcement or even a general date announcement, and it didn't have either of those things either. I mean, I really liked the teaser trailer of Hopper in Russia working on a railroad or whatever he was doing there. I enjoyed that one a lot more than I did this one.
Right, definitely. So, but I mean, we're all gonna watch it. It's Stranger Things. We're there. Another big news: the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced its newest inductees, and Bryan, I actually voted in this. I remember I got one of those emails and I thought it was just a spam thing, but I was like, no, you can be a fan and vote. Haha. So I voted, and the inductees, the newest members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, are the Foo Fighters, Jay-Z, Tina Turner, the Go-Go's, Carole King, and Todd Rundgren. And if I mispronounced that, Mr. Todd, thank you for listening. Please let us know, and I do apologize. I will admit, out of all of them, he was the only one I had to do a quick search of, and I was very happy to find out he did the song Bang on the Drum. Yeah, Carole King, very talented songwriter, performer. I think her Broadway show probably won't run anymore, but I think it is touring, so check that out if you can. The Go-Go is always a fun female band. They're definitely up there as far as female rock groups go. My heart still belongs to, no pun intended, Heart, but I'm glad to see the Go-Go's. And then Tina Turner, good for her. What a lady. And the singer of one of my top 3 favorite James Bond songs.
Golden eye, you'll do what I please. Golden eye, no time for sweetness, but a bitter kiss will bring him to his knees.
Jay-Z, he's got problems, but the Hall of Fame ain't one.
What's he doing in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
It's a music Hall of Fame.
Is it?
Yeah, there's rap groups in it. Well, the drama they're getting right now is the lack of heavy metal, because like Iron Maiden and like they didn't make it, and then Rage Against the Machine. I know they're not like heavy metal, but they're like the harder side. They didn't make it quite yet.
But I feel like if they get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, aren't they no longer raging against the machine?
Anyways, so the Foo Fighters.
If it's a music Hall of Fame, like, okay, so if it's a music Hall of Fame, like Jay-Z should have been in a really long time ago. So, I mean, I'm very, very confused, but we have Jay-Z and the Go-Go's and Carole King all in the same sentence for possibly the first time in history. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Foo Fighters, Jay-Z, Tina Turner, Go-Go's, Carole King. Who would have thought that same? Well, you have to 25 years. I have to look up, but it's like you have to have been 20 years active or 25 years active or contributing to music. That's why it takes some people a little bit longer. And then when you say it that way, you go, man, are the Foo Fighters really that older?
Yeah.
Side note, I did watch a fun little short video the Foo Fighters made of them watching pictures from their earliest tour days to where they are now, and it's just great to watch these rock stars looking at photos and going down memory lane. For anyone who doesn't know out there, the Foo Fighters are one of my favorite bands. They are definitely on my list of concerts I would love to go see. Every time they come near, they're always teamed up with someone, and I don't have a problem with team ups, but man, I would love a Foo Fighters concert. That's in my top 5 concerts, definitely. I'd want to go to. Any of those musicians on your list of tunes for Bryan?
Jay-Z's it in that group, to be honest. Like obviously Tina Turner, like everybody loves Tina Turner, but contributing 25 years, huh? So I mean, how much longer till Beyonce gets in?
Oh, we are not going to upset that fan base at all.
I don't want to upset them. She's definitely not been around. Well, I mean, Destiny's Child, it's been a while. But she'll be there for Jay-Z's induction, I would assume. So
Tina Turner she's already been in. She got in as part of Tina and Ike.
yeah. Okay.
So she got in with them. And then the Foo Fighters, several of their members, because, they were originally part of Nirvana. So they got in with Nirvana as well. So a couple of them have already been inducted. But yeah. So it's always fun when that happens. Of course, all the Beatles, they've all gotten in on their solos. So
Do you think Will Ferrell will show up and impersonate Flea?
Oh man, I feel like that's a missed opportunity if it doesn't happen.
I know, right?
We're gonna shift a little bit here. Maybe Brian's calmed down a little bit, so I'm gonna bring up Superman. Don't worry, Brian. Zack Snyder is not coming back for more. But DC did announce J.J. Abrams is working on a new Superman story. And yes, he is going to be African American. I'm a huge Henry Cavill fan. I'm a huge Man of Steel fan. I know I get some very passionate responses and looks when I say I enjoy Man of Steel. It's in my top 5. And I was hoping we were going to finally get Man of Steel 2. I think Henry has a lot more to tell. And man, did you see that? They said, nope, doing a different Superman, and they announced it on Henry's birthday.
No, that's brutal. I didn't know that.
So I think that's all we're going to get from him, which is a shame because, after Man of Steel, he didn't really get, he got very little time in Batman vs. Superman, got very little time in Justice League. That's not even him in Shazam. So the MCU is going to grab him up, man. If he ends up being Captain Britain, I'm not mad about that, or even Hercules. I'm good with that. So, but I did read
Kraven the Hunter. That's what I want him as.
Ooh, Brian, float that one out there. You heard it here first from Brian, everybody. When I heard they were doing it, I did read one tweet. I thought it made a very good point. It was, if you can't understand why we're feeling the way we're feeling, imagine if Marvel announced, hey, we're doing a Spider-Man movie, and he's going to be African American, and it's going to be Peter Parker, instead of saying Miles Morales. And that it got me thinking. It took a new perspective to it. I was kind of hoping when they said it was going to be an African American Superman that it was going to be the character of John Henry Irons. I thought his character is great. He appeared in a couple of animated movies if you don't want to read the comic books, but man, this is going to be really awful to sum it up like this. But he's kind of like DC's answer to Iron Man a little bit. Superman dies. They need a new Man of Steel. John Henry Irons uses his smarts to build a Man of Steel suit, and there you go. It's going to come. I like J.J. Abrams. It'll be an interesting take. Warner Brothers is trying to sort out their life right now, so who knows where this is going to go. That's what I'm worried about, is just the not so steady hands of DC handling this.
I like J.J. Abrams as well, as long as it's a story that doesn't ever have to come to a conclusion.
Ooh.
Because Lost didn't end well, Alias didn't end well, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker didn't end well. He just doesn't know how to wrap up a story.
His Star Trek trilogy did.
But he didn't know it was the end. I feel like that's cheating.
That's true. That's right. It's not a complete story. The only reason
it's just now the end because they said it was the end.
Yeah, it's the end because they can't afford those actors anymore. We have that, and then Disney Plus announced The Jungle Cruise, July 30th, starring Emily Blunt. Oh, Emily. Anyways, Emily Blunt, July 30th. We're gonna get it on Disney Plus.
You're leaving out an important actor that's also starring in this film.
Oh, right, Paul Giamatti. He's gonna be. Oh, right. Oh, and you know what? I really do, Brian. I'm glad you recommended the Little Rock show. Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Paul Giamatti is in it. I guess I didn't even process that.
You're
you know
welcome.
who else is in it? The mustache from WandaVision, David Langle. So I mean, yeah. So it's gonna be on Disney Plus Premier Access, $30, July 30th. It'll also be in theaters. I'm more excited about this one than I am Cruella, so I might consider it. Still probably not. I am gonna drop $30 earlier that month on Black Widow for Premier Access, but lo and behold, Jungle Cruise might eventually get me.
Yeah, I'll go see it in theaters. I don't like Black Widow still right now is the one I'm gonna buy. But speaking of Disney Plus and all that jazz, we got some new Marvel titles, release dates. Brian, you want to give us a quick highlight?
Yeah, no real new release dates. They were just confirming release dates, which is something I really needed. I needed confirmation that Spider-Man No Way Home was actually going to come out this December, and it is. So for 2021 film slate, we've got Black Widow July 9th, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings September 3rd. Disney did say on their recent quarterly earnings call that will have a 45-day theatrical exclusive window. So that will be in theaters for 45 days before it will be Premier Access or Premium Video on Demand or Disney Plus or anything like that. That's going to be the first of its kind from Disney since the pandemic. Then we've got Eternals on November 5th. And then we've got Spider-Man No Way Home on December 17th. They also gave us official titles for Black Panther 2 is called Wakanda Forever. And Captain Marvel 2 is officially titled The Marvels, which I'm excited about both of those. We've got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Thor Love and Thunder all next year as well. They keep teasing us with the Fantastic Four. There is so much happening in the MCU, and that's not even talking about what's coming on Disney Plus still. So there's a lot going on. I'm really excited about it. And as I said earlier, we discussed the entire future, near future of the MCU on this past week's Earth's Mightiest Weirdos. So if you're interested who, what, when, where, I guess you know the how. They point a camera and actors say their lines, but why of everything, then you can definitely get it from Earth's Mightiest Weirdos.
I'm hoping we get a little bit more info on the Fantastic Four. We like, and even Blade. So I feel like they never reveal all their cards, but I think we're gonna get some more announcements very soon. I definitely think Black Widow. Oh man, there's got to be something that gets shown with Black Widow. I feel like I hope so.
I think Blade, we're looking at 2023, Halloween time, 2023.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four is probably that summer of 2023. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will kind of kick off the summer blockbuster season that year. Like, we're starting to get 4 films a year. It's eventually going to become 5. I can't wait.
I'm good with that. But yeah, so now would be a good time for Bryan Random Rushmore.
The game where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
All of you playing at home, this is where I try to throw Bryan off with a random Rushmore since he's always quick on his feet, and usually I've been slacking. I kind of done it towards the end, so I feel like you anticipated then. So now I'm gonna throw you off.
Yeah, you got me this time. I was not expecting it.
Yes. Random Rushmore. Bryan, give me your top 4 favorite famous Chris. It doesn't have to be a movie. It can
Chris
be
Hemsworth, Chris Pratt.
What?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt, Chris Evans. And you want me to go Pine, but I don't think I'm going to go Pine. I'm going to sit and think on this for a second. What's that?
I said you're a mahogany guy, that's why.
Chris Rock? I could go with Chris Rock.
Christopher
No,
Nolan.
not Christopher Nolan. Nope.
You could.
I've got it. I'm going with
Friends.
I'm going with the mayor of Schitt's Creek, Chris Elliott.
That isn't even Horace's wife. That's his sister.
Oh, what a good one. I was really disappointed by this when I was thinking of it because I wanted to be like edgy, and think of some random Chris,
Chris Elliott. I mean, I did that.
No, you were good. I'm boring. Chris, I feel like this happens before where I've gotten disappointed in my own random Rushmore. So I went with Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. I feel like I couldn't pass him up. And then I went Chris Pine, so I went with him. And then I went with Christopher Reeve because just think of him as Superman. I love him. And then Noise is Off. If If you haven't seen that movie, check it out. So I went Christopher Reeve. So I went a little off with my fourth choice.
I'm eliminating Chris Elliott, and I am replacing it with Christopher Lee, Count Dooku, and Lord Sauron.
Wow.
Christopher Lee absolutely qualifies, plus his last name rules.
Plus, he's the only person in the Lord of the Rings saga to actually meet the author.
Really? I mean, I guess that makes sense. Christopher Walken also qualifies. Do your best fake Christopher Walken.
Okay. Bryan, your tone. It's all wrong. Don't like that again. Stabbing you in the face. Soldering iron.
That's not bad. So there was a mouse, and he was in a thing of butter, and he kept churning his butter, and I can't do it at all.
See, I almost went with the Pulp Fiction quote about the watch. And for anyone who knows
The
it, I hope
watch.
right now. The watch. He couldn't get it out. He had to sneak it out. And God, please let us know if you would like Bryan and I to do a Christopher Walken episode while doing an impression as Christopher Walken.
I also hope you all enjoyed the sound clip I just dropped of Christopher Walken in the Country Bears.
The day I destroy the place that brought me misery, well, that day is tonight.
Bryan, we're missing something here. We need more cowbell. That's what the episode's missing. Moving into our random Rushmore, just in time for Mark and Bryan to do an episode hot take.
Feeling hot.
So what this is, just something that either grinds our gear or something that maybe isn't a popular opinion that we're just kind of hoping to get some people fired up about. So Mark and Bryan's hot take. Bryan, would you like to go first, or you want me to go first?
I would like you to go first.
Always makes me nervous when you do it like. So my hot take is Disney Plus. It has the Marvel collection, and it has the Marvel, Legacy section. And in that, you have other non-MCU films. And they just recently added Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. I, Mark, co-host of United We Fan, am here to say that I have rewatched it. I enjoy it quite a bit, just like I enjoy the first Fantastic Four. I also don't think the latest Fantastic Four is as god-awful as everyone says it is. And, you go in there maybe with a different way of thinking, and you can enjoy it more like I did. Now, is Rise of Silver Surfer perfect? No, they botched horribly Galactus. You wasted so much potential with Silver Surfer. You kind of felt like Doom was forced in there, and the movie is honestly 30 minutes too short. I think had you done that, I also, reading up, poor Jessica Alba, she did not have a great experience making that, but I felt like her acting in that movie, like, I think she was a great comic book Sue Storm in the second one. I thought she got a better grasp on the character as opposed to the first one. But anyways, if we're going to save this for an episode or something, hopefully. But my hot take is I enjoyed the Fantastic Four, the 3 movies that are on Disney Plus, as well as the 2 animated series. They're fantastic.
The 2 animated series are great. The first Fantastic Four movie is good for its time. Rise of the Silver Surfer is rough. I do not like that film. And Four Stick, I really don't like that one either.
Bryan's going to go back and watch it just for me, the Silver Surfer movie.
Am I?
You are.
That's okay. I mean, sure.
You give a good informed opinion.
I just know I don't like it. But I'll go back and watch it. That's fine. We could do a Fantastic Four episode at some point, but that might be in 2 years when we get a casting announcement for the actual MCU Fantastic Four.
We need, maybe next year if we can time it up where we do it on April 4th.
Ooh. I'm going to add that to my calendar right now. Okay. My hot take. Hollywood has... They've run out of ideas, right? I mean, that's what everybody thinks. Pretty much they just do sequels or they remake old movies. I will say that 20 years ago, the greatest remake in Hollywood history was made when Ocean's 11 was put out. I think Ocean's 11 with George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, and everybody else, Don Cheadle, Bernie Mac, just everybody who's anybody, Julia Roberts, Andy Garcia. I think that Ocean's 11 is the greatest remake in the history of Hollywood.
You think we need one more? You think we need one more? All right, we'll get one more.
It's not for me, but I think it's in my top 10. And I would actually have to think about it, but it's for sure my top 10. For me, my favorite remake, man, I love John Carpenter's The Thing, and I also love Jeff Goldblum's The Fly. I love both of those remakes so much, but oh man, Ocean's 11, George. So here's a great case of the remake is better than the original. If you've watched the Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. one, man, I felt like they had a little too much fun. You're gonna get me on a rant about that one, but
I enjoy that. I do like that movie.
I do like it too. I think they pair up and complement each other very nicely. George Clooney did a great job with Steven Soderbergh and Jerry Weintraub, the producer. I think they did a great job playing an homage to it, but also, making it their own. So I got no problem with that. It's definitely a top 10. Man, maybe that could be an episode.
It's hard for a remake to recreate the magic and the vision of the first one, and I feel like this one did. We were watching it recently, and my wife and I were also having this conversation, how George Clooney absolutely looks like a man named George Clooney, but in no way does he look like a man simply named George.
Yeah, he's definitely a full name person.
Right? Like, yeah, like even Brad Pitt, like he's Brad Pitt. He's not just Brad, like he's Brad Pitt, but I can call him Brad, but I can't call George Clooney straight George. It just doesn't work.
I can't call him Brad because then I think of Rocky Horror where I'm like, hey, Brad. No. Hey, George. And then he's automatically like 80. No, I can't do it. He's got to be George Clooney.
It just must be that group though, because like Julia Roberts is kind of that way too. Like
Matt Damon.
Well, Matt Damon, you can't even say his name without saying it. Matt Damon.
Don Cheadle, he's a full name. That's just
Bernie Mac. Like, I mean, that's a nickname anyway, but.
Casey Affleck, maybe. Hey,
Yeah.
Casey. Like your hot dogs. Elliot Gould, that's a full name.
Yep. It's just, maybe it's just that generation, I guess.
Yeah, he's not an Andy. He's an Andy Garcia.
Yeah, he's definitely not an Andy.
Man, that could be an episode too, where we do full name celebrities.
Like Chris. Like we could just stick with Chris and we can talk about like the most perfect human being on the planet, Evans or Hemsworth, both of which would qualify.
Yeah.
But like everybody in that movie just seems you need to call them by their full name. It's fascinating. Anyway, we had that realization. I love Ocean's 11. Ocean's 12, I'm not a huge fan of by any stretch. Ocean's 13 was actually pretty good. But Ocean's 11, I love that movie so much. And I just finished rewatching it very recently for the first time in a while. And that's why it was fresh on my mind.
Yeah, I did a marathon. I watched 11, watched 12. You could just tell fun concept, they even know. They dropped it a lot. The third one, they went back to what was safe. Al Pacino. How can you? Well, you can go wrong with Al Pacino, but they did. Ocean's 8. I wanted so bad to like it. Maybe I need to give it another chance. I haven't watched it in a while since theaters.
I have not finished it. I did not see it in theaters. I have not finished it.
It's just such a great cast. Sandra Bullock. She's got a full name. Oh, look, there's Sandra. No, it's Sandra Bullock.
No, a lot of people call her Sandy, though.
Really?
I feel like, yeah, that's a thing.
Lady Three Seashells? No, she's Sandra.
Maybe it's just Ryan Reynolds calls her Sandy in that really funny video that they did with Betty White when the proposal was coming out.
Ryan Reynolds. That's a full name. You can't.
Feeling hot.
All right. On this episode, Bryan and I are doing something slightly different from our normal stuff. We're going to rank each of our top 5 favorite theme park attractions. Nope, not just favorite at Universal. Nope, not just favorite at Disney. But if you would like to check out our thoughts on, Disney attractions and experience as well as Universal attractions and experience, please check out. We have episodes on that already that we did early in our United We fan history. So check those out. But in this one, we're going to do our top 5 all together, and things are going to get heated. We're probably going to upset some Disney fans, some Universal fans, you few Six Flags and SeaWorld fans out there. I got nothing but love and respect for you guys. And even Cedar Point, Dollywood. Bryan, have you ever been to Dollywood? I want to go to Dollywood. I hear nothing but good things. But
I've not been to Dollywood.
I'm getting sidetracked. But anyways, I got nothing but love for you guys. If I could vote for one of them, I would, but I'll own it. I've only been to the parks here in Florida, one Six Flags in Georgia. I have not gotten to Disney on the West Coast. I've only done, oh man, I have done Universal Hollywood. How did I forget that? So yeah, oh man, that might be a game changer. But anyways, we're gonna start from there. Bryan, would you like the honors of starting? You know what, Bryan? Yes, you start with number 5.
Okay. So I feel like I need to throw out a couple of honorable mentions just because Mako and Manta at SeaWorld Orlando are both really, really good. They did not make my list. I just wanted to make sure that those at least got a mention. But my number 5 attraction, and we're starting off hot because I know this is not on your list. And I will say that I did only rides. I didn't do any shows. I believe you to have at least one show on this list. But I did only rides personally. But my number 5 favorite attraction I have ever ridden. Now, this is not factoring in. I also want to throw out an honorable mention to Avatar Flight of Passage. That did not make my top 5. But I'm factoring in if everything had the exact same amount of weight, what I would do. So something like the Tomorrowland People Mover that never has a line. I love that attraction, but part of what its appeal is it doesn't usually have a line. My number 5 favorite attraction, after much ado, is Expedition Everest in Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida.
That's not a bad choice. It's...
Didn't you call it like not top 10 at one point?
I did. I got a little excited because you all were firing me up. I was emotional. Please forgive me. It is a top 10 Disney attraction. I just did not believe that it is. It was first place, right? It's not even top 5. But not only did Bryan believe it's a top 5 Disney attraction, but it's a top 5 attraction. Period.
Also, I do want to preface that anything we may have said in the past might not be holding true. We might fudge our numbers. This is how we feel today in it's May now. In May of 2021, we could have said something different even just a couple of weeks ago where we got fired up and you just get under the influence a little bit, if you know what I mean. So preface that for later into the future. But mine is Expedition Everest at number 5. What's your number 5, Mark?
I'm going to do some shout outs as well. If the Ghostbuster attraction was still open, that would have been on my list. I remember as a kid, I loved the Alfred Hitchcock attraction.
Psycho.
Oh, man. Yeah. Men in Black was very close to making it. I know that one is dated and it's simple, but I love the Men in Black ride. E.T., I love it, but it's not top 5 worthy.
I'm pretty sure everything you just listed was all in the same theme park.
It is. So somewhere else. Rise was going possibly to be my number 5, but I've only got to ride it once. So I think because of that, it's not going to make my list. If I get to if I get to ride it a little bit more in the future, it can easily make my top 5. But the only reason it's not making it is I rode once. I really need to know how I feel about it. So for my number 5, I'm going to go Avatar Flight of Passage. I remember the first time I rode it. I remember how I feel still riding it, the feels from it, and it still holds up for me. And I love hearing how many people still think so highly of it. So Avatar Flight of Passage is my number 5.
It's such a great ride. And honestly, like that queue line, even though it can get long, it's a very immersive queue, just being outside with the waterfalls. And then, of course, you get Avajar or Hank in a Tank or whatever his official name is, but the blue avatar in the queue line. There's some cool stuff to look at that kind of helps pass the time. That's a really good attraction. It's a worthy inclusion.
Well, is it only fair for me to list my number 4, or do you want to like go every other? What do you want to do?
You go ahead and go number 4, and then I'll go.
So,
Snake Draft.
my number 4, man, Bryan, when I had my confession session, these are my confessions with our listeners, where I totally forgot that I've been to Universal Hollywood. Man, this is gonna shake some things up. So originally I had the Haunted Mansion at number 4. I was like, I felt really good about this. Man, I really hate that I remembered that I went to Universal Hollywood. So I guess what does that say if I like forgot I went there? But I've been there twice. I think that's the sad part.
How have you been to LA twice and never been to Disneyland?
I don't want to hear it. I've already gotten lectured by so many Disney people. But anyways, another shout out to the Waterworld stunt show.
Dude, that show's awesome.
That just is missing it. But you know what? This is our favorite theme park attractions. My number 4, the Universal Hollywood Backlot Tour. I love it. I love it so much. Being the film history nerd, I love it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm sorry, Haunted Mansion. God, am I so sorry. But yeah, the Universal Hollywood Backlot Tour.
Well, technically, shouldn't you just slide Haunted Mansion from 4 to 5 and then therefore bounce?
You were gonna do that? Nope. Because the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Let's keep talking. If I feel the need to do that, I'll bounce it. I know this makes no logical sense. And Bryan, you are the Spock to my Kirk, so you're Mr. That's illogical.
That is the most illogical attitude.
I'm gonna go with Backlot Tour number 4.
All right, sounds good. I missed the Backlot Tour at Hollywood Studios personally. My number 4 is Radiator Springs Racers at Disney's California Adventure.
I want to go on that so bad.
It's so great. It is take test dummy test track and then multiply that by 5. It's longer. The animatronics are incredible. Everything about it is so great. I love that attraction so much.
I will let you all know what I think of it when I go, and oh man, I'm going to be giving Disneyland and California Adventure at least a week. All right, Bryan, what's your number 3?
So this is how I prefaced just a couple weeks ago. I did say something.
Oh my God, you're going to trigger me.
And I called it the greatest ride in the Central Florida area. And it is a wonderful attraction. And to our listeners, I'm sorry. I've learned that I started saying wonderful a lot. I'm trying to not say it as much. But when I say it, I'm sorry. You can turn it into a drinking game if you want to, like whatever you want to do there. But I'm going to stick with, as I factor everything, if I had to wait 30 minutes to ride all of these attractions, I'm going to put number 3 on my list, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man at Universal's Islands of Adventure.
That was not a wonderful vote. And I had this weird feeling you were going to be a game changer on that. Well, I'm still glad it's in your top 5. So, you know what? I can't be that upset. I can't be mad at you. It's in your top 5, and you've been to a lot.
It's in my top 3 even.
Yeah. So you've been to a lot of parks. So
Spoiler alert, it is my only attraction from Universal Studios. I have not ridden the new Velocicoaster. Mark, how was the Velocicoaster?
So, as a non-coaster lover, that ride is intense. From talking to my coaster-loving friends, they thoroughly enjoyed it. For all of you coaster like experts, non-experts out there, we all know sometimes a coaster doesn't make a loop and can sometimes roll back, and it's called valleying. This one is so high tech that if it doesn't, it goes back into the launcher and can shoot right back up. And I tell you what, going up that loop, I didn't know if we were going to make it. And man, Bryan, the whole time I was praying, and then we made it over, and then comes the height part, and that's where I hate coasters. And so I'm like, I went from praying about one thing to praying about another thing. So, but it is a smooth, beautiful coaster. The inversion that goes over the water and past the queue, like smooth as butter. I somebody else, I won't take credit for this, wishes that the one ocean dinosaur form from Jurassic World, I forgot the name of it. I do
The
apologize.
one that comes up and eats that shark dangling above.
Somebody wishes they would have put like an animatronic or even like a just standstill one in the water over when the coaster does that. But anyways, Velocicoaster, it's great stuff. I'm not a fan of people comparing apples to oranges with Hagrid's. They're two different coasters. One's a story coaster, one's a thrill coaster. It's very different. So, but yes, Brian, I can't wait to hear your review of it.
It's a Mosasaurus. It
I think
officially opens June 10th. I am trying to make it over to Universal in the near future, as early as tomorrow after I get off work, hopefully. I'm going to try to get on it very, very soon. I'm excited, but I haven't ridden that. I have not ridden Hagrid's, Forbidden Journey, the Hogwarts Castle. All of those deserve an honorable mention. But like I said, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, number 3 on my list. It is the only Universal Studios one that I have.
Well, number 3 for me is Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey.
There you go.
Huge Harry Potter fan. I think that is arguably one of the best queues in the world. And I say that knowing that I've only been to Florida and one park in California, but I'm going to make a big statement like that. So yeah, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Does it have, one or two things that maybe could have been smoothed out? Sure. Yeah. Who cares? I love that ride as a Harry Potter fan, and it's a lot of fun.
It's a great queue line. There's for a Harry Potter fan, like it's everything you dreamed and more. It's a great queue line. It's a fun attraction. I get it.
We're going to take a short break and to let everyone think about what we've just voted for. And we're going to do our real quick top 5 favorite theme park restaurants. So this is once again out of no specific park location or whatever. It's just which one we like. And it's a restaurant. So it's not like a counter service. It's not something in City Walk or Disney Springs. It is something inside of a theme park. So, Brian, would you like to go with your top 5, or do you want me to start?
No, I'll go.
Okay.
My number 5 is Le Cellier Steakhouse at the Canadian Pavilion in Epcot.
Yes.
Number 4, for theming and the character meal specifically, the Baxter Building Fantastic Four Cafe at Superhero Island in Islands of Adventure.
Yep.
Number 3, the Three Broomsticks in Hogsmeade. Number 2, from an atmosphere alone, Be Our Guest, I feel like qualifies. I like their breakfast menu more than I do the other menus. I know that wouldn't shock you if you've heard my diet. And number 1, I'm cheating a little bit because it comes with a dining package to see World of Color, is the Carthay Circle at Disney's California Adventure.
God, all really great choices. I have to give a shout out to two of them that almost made it for me, and feel free to judge me away. Columbia Harbor House. I love.
Really?
Yeah, I people say that. I don't know why, but I love that whole menu. And then the other one is Sunshine Seasons over at Epcot. I just think that is one of the best quick services for like any kind of options that you're feeling. And there's always like seating. It's a big venue.
Shout out to the corn dog nuggets at Casey's Corner. We need to get that place reopened.
Yes. So for me, number 5 is 50s Prime Time. I enjoy the food. The peanut butter and jelly milkshake is so good. The servers there have a lot of fun. So I enjoy it. Number 4 is Le Cellier in Canada. It's so good. That's where I was introduced to a Canadian Shirley Temple, and that's a yummy drink. Brian, man, I almost actually put the Fantastic Four Cafe as well, but it didn't quite make it. So, and I even almost put Krusty Burger. Oh, I love the Krusty sauce. So, some more shout outs there. But number 3 for me is going to be the Leaky Cauldron. That's in London, Harry.
Smells too much like fish for me.
Oh, all right.
That's why I chose Three Broomsticks.
I got you. Yeah, well, number 2, the Three Broomsticks. Man,
wow,
I
you got them both.
An opportunity to have 3 broomsticks at 3, but
that's
anyway.
What I did.
Brian, I feel like you should know my number 1. I feel like I've talked about it so much. No?
When you say it, I'll probably guess it.
Yeah. Over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, the Sci-Fi Dine-In.
Yeah.
My favorite theme park restaurant. I love the atmosphere. The nostalgic guy in me loves the screen there, the Starry Night Sky. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, the food. I don't mind the food. I really enjoy it. I usually get a Coke, burger, and fries, or if I'm feeling spicy, I get a burger, fries, and a milkshake, and then I watch that 45-minute loop, and I'm happy.
I have not eaten at Sci-Fi Dine-In in more than 10 years.
Oh, we got to get you back there.
Yeah.
Well, are you ready for our top 2?
I'm ready.
All right. Oh man, I should have remembered. Who went? I went last, right? Yeah, I went last. So, my turn. So I'm gonna go with my. This one was actually difficult because I kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But my number 2, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, over at Universal's Islands of Adventure. I love the queue at the Daily Bugle. For
Thank you.
anyone, yeah, I shamed myself. But anyways, the Daily Bugle, I love the queue, feeling like you're stepping into a comic book. I always take a picture of J. Jonah Jameson and the photo of him and Captain America on one of the desks. And of course, you have a picture of Stan Lee there. And then it's also got one of arguably the best safety load videos before you get on the ride. It's hilarious. If you get a chance, actually look up, watch it. So yeah, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, my number 2.
Your number 2 is my number 3, so we're on the same page there. My number 2 is at Adventureland in Disneyland in California, and it is the Indiana Jones Adventure: The Temple of the Forbidden Eye. That is similar to Dinosaur at Animal Kingdom, except different in all the right ways. It is everything Indiana Jones. The animatronics are awesome. All of it is just so great. The use of pyro, just everything. The Indiana Jones Adventure is incredible.
When I do go, I have to make sure that ride will be open, and it will possibly be the first ride I go running to ride.
It breaks down a lot. Just be ready.
I don't care. It's worth it. I'll wait.
So good.
All right, Brian, drum roll. What's your number 1?
When factoring in emotions and everything, there is, if you told me I could only ride one more theme park attraction for the rest of my life, there is no debate. You've only ridden it once. I have ridden it 7 or 8 times now. But Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. I love the ship ride with Lieutenant Beck and Nien Nunb. I think that's incredible. Just the way the entire everything is pulled off, that you come out the same door you walked into. I cry. I at least tear up every single time I've ridden it. Everything emotionally in that attraction, it is a dream come true. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is my number 1.
Here's how much I think of that ride. It almost made my top 5 after only riding it once. But I think I just want to go back and experience it and look around it and enjoy all of it. And I was so overwhelmed when the one time I got to ride it. So yeah, that one will, I'm sure, make mine. But drum roll for mine. I will open the envelope. Brian, you already know it. The Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, Disney's Hollywood Studios. I know everyone's going to be like, a show? Yes. I love the Indiana Jones stunt show. It never gets old for me. You can put me front row, back row, middle row, on a plane, on a train, and watch that show, and I will be so happy. I've gotten to be a volunteer in that show a couple of times, and the show's a hoot. Do I wish they would update it a little bit? Yes. Do I wish they would get rid of it and redo the storyline? I would need to know more about what they're thinking before they do that. But I dig the whole hey, this is the second unit. We're filming the action scenes. Not many people know what a second unit is. Nobody knows what hardly a second unit director is, and the difference between a stunt actor and a stunt performer. I love the show. Yeah, number 1, Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, Disney's Hollywood Studios. Please, Disney, reopen it. Yeah.
Shout out to friend of this Diz Life, specifically the Mouse Ears and Magic podcast. Mark Daniel used to work at the Indiana Jones Stunt Show as one of the crowd hype guys for a really long time. Awesome guy, and he used to work there for a really long time. Now he's doing bigger and better things for Disney parks in general, but that's the place that I recognize him from first. The Indiana Jones Stunt Show, like you said, if you're going to change it, you still need to keep it what it is. I need the joke of we need to get somebody more your size to fight when the big German dude is unavailable and they get Marion to come over to fight the guy instead. I need that joke. And obviously the ball Raiders of the Lost Ark needs to stick around to start the show. It's just so good. The spikes coming out of the ground. Yeah, man, it's so good.
I was really happy to get to talk with Mark. I mean, what a great name. But anyways, when I was like, what a cool guy. And then when he mentioned his big part with the Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, I was like, man, this guy is already cool. How much cooler can he get? And then, yeah, what a cool guy. So I'm glad he's a fan of this Diz Life family, and what a great family. So definitely check them out.
If you're listening, especially this Diz Life folks, and you don't agree with our lists, definitely throw it out there in the group and let's start a fun conversation.
That concludes this episode. We thank you, fellow fans, for uniting with us. For those listeners who want to get in touch with the show, please do so. We would love to hear from you all, especially after I feel like this one, if anything, is going to get a whole lot of comments. So, Bryan, tell our listeners how they can message the show and stay up to date on everything UWF.
You can find us on Instagram at UnitedWeFan_podcast. You can find us on This Diz Life YouTube channel, in This Diz Life Facebook group, as well as on Facebook at United We Fan the podcast.
Yeah, man, definitely check us out at the end of the month for United We Fan Plus, where Bryan and I come to you live, where we love comments as we talk about Disney Plus and all things that were happening the current month and then what to look forward to the next month. So it's a lot of fun. Thank you again, and listen to us wherever you check out your podcast. Give us a rate or review. We appreciate you all. Till we unite again, fans. Oh, wow. Bryan, we forgot the mummy, but I think I know why.
Hope you enjoyed yourself. I would have enjoyed this interview a lot more if I had gotten